Hello, friends. It's Thursday, January 6th. So, January 16th, sorry. January 16th. Got a little too excited there. It's Thursday, January 16th. This is episode 900 of
420 Blaze It.
Chapo. Ooh, episode 900 of the show we know and love, Chapo, Trap House, and the original gang is here today. It's me, Felix, and Matt. Gentlemen, how are we feeling about episode 900 of the show?
Honestly, it's like a cautionary tale, like this on your brain on podcasting. So it's a warning. But I feel great, to quote Hillary Clinton.
I still think I have time to go to law school and stop doing all this. I don't think it's not too late for me.
Law school, medical school, these avenues are not closed to us. But
I'm thinking about managing an Arby's and creating more whites from what I've seen on Twitter. They've been saying that disaffected young Zoomers like myself should manage an Arby's, and then that will be a way for upward mobility to create more whites.
Yeah. I mean, like, anyone out there who's struggling for upward mobility, all I gotta say, should have been a history major like I was. Okay.
How many history majors do we have on the pod? Is that 3 of us?
But yeah, I was history major. I guess like master of class of master of none, just driven to the podcast.
I double majored in history and film, although our film degree was called radio television film, a holdover from when it was created in the 30s. Hilarious that the radio part of that ended up being the thing that really stuck around. But hey, majors in radio and history, and look what I ended up doing.
I was actually the first guy to get a PhD in interdisciplinary studies.
Pippin Ho's degree.
I feel like, wait, all these years I thought you got your master's in technology.
No, I started with technology, but then me and Travis Kelsey were the first PhDs in interdisciplinary studies. We were the first people to do times tables on a doctorate level. Well, technology will always be in my heart, though.
Yeah,
so for my first love. Yeah.
Well, to kick off this episode 900, I would just like to thank our good friends at Patreon, because Chris and I just got back from Las Vegas. We just drove back. I'm in LA right now. We were just in Las Vegas being hosted by our kind friends at Patreon, who put us up for their annual company conference. And we got to talk to the whole company about podcasting in 2025. And we're once again extended the glad hand and not the high hat by our friends at Patreon. But before we get into our call-in for today, Felix, I'm going to lean on you because I need to rely on your MMA knowledge to fill in some gaps based on an experience that Chris, Molly, and Catherine and I had last night. You think you could do that?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you I assume you are, but are you familiar with the UFC MMA fighter Frank Mir?
Oh, of course.
Okay,
yeah.
He's a big time guy.
Frank Mir he was the co-headliner of UFC 100, which was previously the biggest UFC event of all time. That was sort of like the marquee event pre the Conor McGregor era. He was a bouncer at the Spearmint Rhino strip club, I think it is, in Las Vegas.
Okay.
And during the lead up to the fight with the rematch with Brock Lesnar, he beat Brock Lesnar by knee bar in the first match. And in the second one, which Brock won by TKO in the second round, Mir said that he would like to kill Brock in the cage and that he carries a gun with him everywhere he goes so he can stop a mass shooting and like be Batman. I love him. He's he's great.
Well, you will be chuffed to hear that we all saw Frank Mir last night when he was the on-stage guest of Chris Angel, the Mind Freak. That's right. We attended the Chris Angel Mind Freak show at the Planet Hollywood Casino last night. And let me tell you, folks, if you're looking for a good time in Vegas, please check out Chris Angel Mind Freak.
Oh my God, I knew I should have gone. Oh my God, why didn't I fucking go?
No, he says, Chris Angel Mind Freak says that he has been training with Frank Mir for some time. And Frank got on stage and said, a lot of people think it's crazy that a 57-year-old guy would be sparring in MMA. But when you see this guy in the gym, the way he moves, he's on another level.
Well, I mean, there's a reason that they've never permitted magicians to compete in MMA. I don't really think that's fair, do you? Like, I never knew that they were friends, but it really does make a ton of sense because they have a similar, they probably met at the leather bracelet store.
Yes.
They're both leather bracelet, vest type guys.
I was laughing like Max Cady watching Problem Child for like the first 15 minutes of the Chris Angel Mindfreak show. It was so fucking funny. Yes. It was like, how I describe it is like blaring new metal and like literal garbage being blown around the room, like 1,000 pounds of just confetti just being shot at you as you hear new metal, while Chris Angel performs magic tricks that I think would be fairly described as hack in the 19th century, but like with a cyber goth aesthetic.
Yeah. Well, okay. Like, what kind of tricks is he doing? Like sawing a woman in half?
Coming out of a box, pulling up a sheet, dropping it, and then he's not there.
Pulling a bunch of doves out of his, making a bunch of doves manifest out of his sleeves and stuff like that.
I wish I was managing him because I would go, doves go against the whole mind freak thing. He should use ravens. Or bats. Like
absolutely.
If we lived in a video game and you like knocked out Chris Angel and you were looting his body and you didn't find any bats, you would be like, well, no, clearly something's wrong here. This is the type of guy who'd be carrying around bats all the time.
I have to say my favorite part of it from a musical standpoint, yes, the constant nu metal and Skrillex style EDM blasting, but he had an onstage musician who was like queuing up the music and being his musical director. And usually when you have a single onstage musician for something like this, they are, maybe playing drums to add some live drums, or guitar to do some like solos live, or perhaps piano because piano's the heart of the orchestra or whatever. The onstage musician he had was playing only electric bass the entire time, which I got a real kick out of.
Chris Angel has his own doof warrior, folks.
Yes, exactly.
That's how big time he is, and like 16 different motorcycles all on display in Planet Hollywood.
Did Frank Mir do any magic?
No, he didn't. He just came out and just bigged up his friend and was like, said how good, what a cool guy he is, and then just went off stage.
That's disappointing. I feel like Mir lost a lot of confidence after that second Lesnar fight. Mir in like 2008 would have done magic. He probably would have sawed a real woman in half and then put her back together with jiu-jitsu. So back from Vegas, but nose to the grindstone. Let's kick off this episode 900. We have some call-ins. Let's get right to your questions for today's episode. So, Chris, why don't you kick us off with our first call-in question?
Okay, great. This is going to come from Alan D.
Hey, Chapo. My name's Alan. I'm a big fan from up north, from the People's Independent Republic of Alberta. I'm getting very excited for God Emperor Trump to annex us and liberate us from the pretender Trudeau. My question for you boys is, what can I do now to better prepare myself for becoming an American?
And question. Now, I will just also say that this is part of a slew of questions we got. A lot of people were interested in our takes on the general expansionist Trump mode of, will Trump take Greenland? Will Trump take Canada? But I do think that this cultural assimilation angle is an interesting take on it. So I'll let you guys go.
Okay. I was gonna say, like, for a Canadian becoming an American, what are some things? How do you ingratiate yourself into the gang, into the bosom of liberty in this country? And I think the good news is you don't have to go far. Canada is not too different from America, but I would just say start eating burger. And I know you have burger in Canada already, but like, realistically, how many times a week do Canadians eat burger? I mean, I don't know. Like, it could be a lot, but it's not as much as America. It's not as much as Americans. So I would say just up the level of burger in your diet, and then just, I don't know, like, cut it out with the hockey, like just baseball, football, basketball. These are American sports.
I'm going to sound like I'm repeating myself from the speech that I gave at the Democratic National Convention this year. But one thing that defines us as Americans is how Latino we are. One would even say that we're one of the most Latino nations like on earth. When I think of America, I think about Latina tweets, like when I love hard. I'm the type of girlfriend that will fight with you and then be like, let's order food. Those are only made in America. Canada, like 85% similar to America. That 15% is them. Like, there's just no Canadian Latino-ness. Have you,
That's a really good point.
When you go, right. When you go there, Montreal is one of my favorite cities we've ever gone to. And it was perfect in all these ways. It's great. It's great in all these ways. But then you're just like, there's just like a little something off where I couldn't live here. It's not, there's 0% Latino, 0.00% Latino. Yeah.
And you bring up Montreal, you bring up Quebec, and going into Montreal, I was expecting to make fun of the idea of Quebecois independence, but I don't know, there's something about it. But if you're going to be America, there is nothing more violently offensive to Americans than the French language. So I'm afraid you're going to have to cleave yourself from this idea that everyone has to speak two lanlanguages in Canada, and especially the French language.
I don't know. I think that
Spanish. It should be the Spanish language.
I don't know. I definitely not the thing where when the prime minister goes on TV and he's like, I did something with a bank. I'm sorry. And then he has to say it in French. I think that's annoying. But I don't know. They should do some French stuff because we only have one other French city in America, New Orleans, and it's one of the most interesting looking ones. It's one of the most fun ones. But I maybe a carve out would be they can do French signs if they make an effort to be more Latino. And I don't think ethnic makeup matters at all. You can be white Latino. A lot of people have said that I have the charisma of a white Latino, and I'm biologically not Latino at all in the least. So I think just study that, work on that. Look at what Jeff Bezos did after he turned 40.
Get on gear. Get on gear. Start wearing loud, colorful shirts and very tight pants. And get a baddie.
So welcome aboard, study hard, and welcome to the team.
Yeah. Now, Chris, you did mention there was a few other questions about the proposed acquisition of Greenland, which could possibly be in the works in under the Trump Imperium. I mean, I guess I'll pose the question: what the fuck is going on in Greenland? What is Greenland? I'll just have to plead ignorance on this one. What do they have there? It seems to me like a lot of ice. Why does anyone want Greenland? Why does Denmark own Greenland? Who sold it to them? And what kind of price are they asking for it? Or should we just take it from Denmark?
My understanding is that there are untapped that this is a climate change play, that there are untapped mineral resources that will be made more available as Greenland becomes greener, and also as northern shipping lanes become more passable as ice continues to melt. I don't know. Leif Erikson is why Denmark owns Greenland.
Well, okay. I understand all that. What have they been doing with it for the past 900 years? All those guys stopped wearing, dressing like Hagar the Horrible and cleaving each other a very long time ago. What are they just they're just sitting on it? Was anyone doing anything with Greenland? Does anyone live there?
I remember we talked about this years ago in some, I believe in the Checking the Dipstick episode, where this is first brought up. And it just seems to be like one of those weird right-wing Groyper memes that somehow bubbled up into the Trump administration and got lodged in his brain. I've also seen it said that he just looks at the Mercator projection as it's so big, we could have it all.
I've also heard speculation that it's a Peter Thiel play to turn it into some sort of libertarian sea-steeding country for to do God knows what in, but some sort of ice-covered libertarian paradise.
Okay. So it's it'll be like a country where you get kicked out of Starbucks if you're not looking up CP on their Wi-Fi.
Yeah,
you're exactly. Get out of Greenland.
We don't want your kind in Greenland.
Matt, any thoughts
on human relationships
on Canada and Greenland becoming part of America?
I mean, it's access to the Hollow Earth. So, that's crucial.
Yeah.
Strategic, if you will.
Denmark's just had like a stopper. It's had a plug in the main artery to Agartha and the city at the center of the earth.
Yeah, we idolize these social democracies like Denmark, but they're really, their wealth is built on a foundation of just the corpses of mole people that they're exploiting down there.
In the Ozempic mines of Hollow Earth, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, well, remember like the QAnon thing about mole people and mole children in the tunnels? Maybe they're all in Greenland. Maybe this is a play to finally free the mole children, free the mole people and their children.
I'll have to see what the mole people have going on. I mean, it's possible we free them and we really don't like what they're up to. and it's like, no returns. What are you going to do? Put them back in the Hollow Earth? Everyone would get mad at you.
Just give it back to Denmark. Like, they're your problem now. All right. Should we go to the next question?
Yes. Okay. I've got some separated into questions for specific hosts. So why don't we go around and do specific host questions for a bit, and then I'll come back to some general ones. Okay. Starting with Will. I think this is a fun one. And honestly, I think we did a whole episode on Trump era films. So here is a question about the last 4 years in film and media.
Hey, Chapo. I'm intrigued to know what you think the defining films of the Joe Biden era were. Thanks, guys.
And that's from Adam A. So obviously for everyone, but, Mr. Movie Mindset, Will, this one was directed towards you.
I'm going to have to consult. I'm just gonna just look at my letterbox real quick. All right. Top of the list for what is a defining film of the Joe Biden era. I'm gonna give you two off the top of my head here: Madam Web and The Beekeeper.
Yes.
I see. I know. Matt, you're a big fan of The Beekeeper. I think
yeah.
The Beekeeper is very much a Biden era movie because it's basically a documentary about the Biden White House and attempts to bring it to justice. And I would say Madam Web is a perfect distillation of the Biden era because it seems like it was made by someone suffering from dementia, and absolutely nobody in the movie is trying or even knows what they're doing. I think of the scene where Dakota Johnson spends 5 minutes just holding a can of Pepsi and not opening it. I think about the scene in it where she leaves 3 teenage girls in her apartment while she goes to Peru and then is seemingly back in New York City in about an hour or two after doing something in the jungle and getting web powers. A sort of like a more serious answer of like a movie that I think absolutely feels like identical to what being alive in 2020, like circa 2020 to 2024 is the Radu Jude film, Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World. Hessa and I interviewed him on Movie Mindset, and like my serious answer for like, I think probably one of the best movies of the last 10 years, and a movie that feels as obscene and degrading and funny as being alive now. It's Do Not Expect Too Much from the End of the World by Radu Jude. I just think like that movie just captures everything about like the obscenity of being alive in the current moment.
For Biden Mark I, like pre-Brandonization, I would say a movie that everyone has forgotten, and for good reason. This was a very ephemeral time. It almost feels like it didn't happen in some ways. But I would say the 2022 Judd Apatow Netflix comedy, The Bubble.
Wait, what was? I don't remember that at all.
Did you actually watch that?
Exactly. The Bubble was a horrible, streaming comedy, and it has all the watermarks of just really bad Netflix originals. It's sort of weirdly dark. You can't really hear anything. Everything is written in a way where the producers of the film are aware that you are, either disciplining your child or doing laundry while this movie is playing. It's worse than the things it's parodying. It's not clear if it's a parody. In summation, when you were done watching it, you're like, was that, did I just spend 2 hours in the traditional sense? Did I spend more than that? Was this one of those things where like I was in a coma for 10 years? They're trying to make like a big budget movie during COVID, basically.
Okay.
And the bubble, like, the NBA bubble. I really like that. Yeah, that is Biden Merc 1. Biden Merc 2, like post Brandonization, I would have to agree with Madam Web.
Oh, here's another one. I'm going to throw this one to Matt, too. This is another movie that I know Matt and I both think is a work of genius. Beau is Afraid.
Oh, absolutely.
Beau is Afraid.
Yeah,
Beau is Afraid. It's a movie that, once again, feels as hilarious and excruciating as being alive for the last 4 years have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it's like the magic trick. It's like very, very castic. Like, oh, I'm terrible. But hold on, it's his mother's fault. It's very, very crafty, very sneaky, very narcissistic. It's of the time.
And as Hessa said about Beau is Afraid, like, as far as Ari Aster goes, I have to give him like eternal credit as an artist for being brave enough to make a movie that will ensure that no woman will ever have sex with him for the rest of his life. No, I mean, I just think of like the first hour of that movie where he's just being tortured in his apartment, and the scene where he locks himself out of his apartment and watches from across the street as a stream of 50 mentally ill people stream into his house and then destroy it is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. And then the scene where he's in the bathtub naked and there's a guy on his ceiling who gets a spider bite and then falls into his bathtub made me laugh and shudder harder than just about anything I've seen in recent film memory. So it's a movie that is excruciating. I described my first experience of watching it, of the first hour being like, this is the funniest movie I've seen in the last 20 years. The second hour being like, this is getting extremely uncomfortable. The third hour being like, fuck you, Ari Aster, go to jail, go directly to jail. I hate you. And then going to sleep and waking up the next morning with the final image of the movie, a capsized rowboat stuck in my head, and my eyes bolted awake. And I was like, it's a masterpiece. He's a genius. Give him everything.
And I was just like, okay, this warned me off. 4 hours. Give me a break. But I watched it. It's like, you know what? Keep it. It's pristine. It's like genius.
I want the 6-hour director's cut.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Give me more Beau.
Yep.
And Beau Biden. Beau Biden is afraid. Beau Biden.
Yeah.
Beau Biden is dead.
Yep.
There we go.
It's like the Italian, like 5 stars or whatever. It's like the beekeeper. It's like the fascists. Really, it's a call to action.
I have a slightly obvious answer to this, and I know it's from 2019 before his actual election, but The Irishman seems particularly relevant to the life and career of Joe Biden.
Absolutely. I mean,
and now Biden is sitting in the home alone at the end while the world slowly dollies away from him, and he can think about what he's done.
I heard you draw clocks.
just Biden alone in Delaware. Just leave the door open. Just listen. Just leave the door open.
Listen, shut up.
Kill yourself.
We listen to like a movie like Starship Troopers, which like came before the George W. Bush administration, but like prophesied it perfectly. Yes, I think The Irishman can absolutely be counted in the Biden era of films.
All right, so we move on to a Felix question.
Let's do it.
All right.
Hey, Adam here. I wanted to hear from Felix about the origins of his deep interest in the world of fighter aviation. I'm in what's probably a pretty small subgroup as a retired fighter pilot who's also a lefty Chapo superfan. But I flew F-22s and F-15s a bunch of years, and it's funny to listen to Felix talk about aircraft, weapons, tactics, and mostly know what he's talking about. When and how did you develop this interest enough to dive into it so heavily?
This is from Adam C. Thank you, Adam.
Well, first of all, I cannot believe that a listener of ours ascended to the as I have called them, the most normal guys in the military, the U.S. military. And he flew the F-22, maybe the greatest American plane ever made. I have always like a lot of things that I get deeply interested in. I have always had like a slightly above passive interest in this for, probably since I was very young. And I played all the Ace Combat games when they came out during the Bush administration, the beloved middle period PS2 ones. But it was a confluence of things. It was like sort of the fact that they fucked up Counter-Strike 2 at launch caused me to start playing DCS the preeminent flight simulation game. And because one of the guys that I played CS with was a big DCS guy, and it had the perfect aspect of a new hobby for me in that it allowed me to make several unjustifiable purchases right at the onset of the hobby, including my.
It's a sword. Come on. Don't front. It's a sword. Just admit it.
No, yeah. No, I mean, there's no difference between owning a sword, which I do, and owning a recreation of like a Su-30 SN's flight stick and throttle, which I also own. But it just, I never expected to like a game like DCS because it is much different than Ace Combat. It's much less video gamey. But yeah, for whatever reason, I just really enjoyed doing it, and it made me very interested in like weapon systems and specific planes and like how these planes are developed. And I personally think you have to get really into something every 2 years, or your body will kill you. Once you stop like getting really into things every 18 months to 2 years, your body will be like, we're done here, and will kill you. So I'm never going to stop doing that. I don't know what's next. Maybe horse racing.
Well, I mean, big respect to Adam C. Is that his name?
Yes.
Adam C. Big respect. I like Felix. I'm very impressed that we have a F-22 fighter pilot listening to the show. And Adam C. I think you're probably not in the Air Force or Navy anymore. But I just want to say, stay on call. We may have need of your skills sometime in the future. Should an Iron Eagle situation develop, and you have to do some sort of mission to save us from a fictional Arab country after we were shot down over international waters.
Or, hear me out, maybe it's time to get revenge for the USS Liberty. I'm just saying. If you still have your keys to the plane.
Yeah, just Adam, email back. I'm interested to know, did you have a call sign? Did you have a cool nickname?
Yeah, every pilot gets call signs.
Yeah, but what was it? I wish you'd included it, but maybe that would be divulging sensitive information.
Adam C. replied to us. I'll pass it on to everybody else.
Okay.
All right. Here's one for Matt. Here is from Emily T.
Hello. This is a question for Matt. I myself am the mother of a 2-year-old daughter, so I'm wondering if Matt has any advice on how to raise a based baby. Which might seem niche, but then I figured that most of your listeners are babies, so maybe it's applicable to more people than I think. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Emily T. Matt, your thoughts on raising a based baby?
Well, you see, you're gonna turn the base, right? You're so you're 5 degrees. It's low and slow. And oh, mon ami, slap your mama. That's you got the base.
You gotta get a good roux going.
You got the roux. You got the roux. I mean, I get back to you. I'm watching. Honestly, though, I'm watching. I was like, you know what? He's based. Honestly, he's a budding base. But who knows? But I guess sadly, my recommendation had a stroke. Because no interacting. And just live your life. Figure it out. And honestly, recommendation: grow up with dogs. I'm watching this it's just never anxious, never worry. This running, got the fur barking, and just it's chill. Who knows? Again, I get back to you.
Yeah, she's got one more year of experience raising a baby than you do.
Yeah, exactly. I know. I have no idea.
Yeah, but maybe the baby's really, really not based.
Really cringe.
Yeah, she's a very soy baby. So
I don't know. She's definitely a base baby. She's undeniable.
No, I don't mean yours. I mean the callers.
Okay.
She's she saw how base yours is, and she's like, Oh my God, my 18-month-old is a Discord moderator. Fuck.
I see. I based on these last few questions, this is a revelation to me. I don't know what is rarer for a listener of our show, to be a former F-22 pilot or to be a mother of a child.
I know, it's amazing.
Wow.
Racking
Yeah.
up
What the
the W's, baby.
Yeah. Both of those work 10,000 of our regular listeners.
Yeah. Holy shit. Yeah. No, this is probably how it feels when like, I don't know, when like a guy gets a diabetes attack on a plane and there's a doctor on board. Usually for us, we would be getting diabetes attacks on a plane and we'd be like, is there a doctor in the house? And all our listeners would be like, I dropped out of biology. I don't know anything. So thank you guys.
All right, let's go back to a general question. And we've got kind of two that are similar. Why don't I play these back to back and we can do them together because I think that they will go in nicely to each other. So this first one is going to be from Paul S.
Hey guys, Paul from Austin, and I was thinking about how Michael Rappaport was a character.
Hey guys, I'm being killed in a wheat thresher, and I was wondering how to get out of this.
Paul Schrader, please get help wherever you are. It sounds like you're being run over with a corn thresher.
Hey guys, I'm being murdered inside a grain silo, and I was wondering, how come you guys never talk about the talking heads? Do you not like them, or what? I'll take my answer out there.
Okay. All right. Call from an active construction zone aside. Let's hear what Paul S's question is.
Hey guys, Paul from Austin, and I was thinking about how Michael Rappaport was a character back on season 1, basically, of Chapo, and how he's come back with a vengeance. So I was wondering, who are your favorite characters from the years that y'all have been doing this, and who would you like to see back? Thanks, y'all. Have a good day.
All right. So the first question is, who are our favorite characters? And then here is a kind of follow-up that I think we can lead that into. And this is from Jack K.
What's up, Dry Boys? Big fan of the show. First time, long time. I had a question for you. So if all of our recurring favorites, like John Cass, Jordan Peterson, Rod Dreher, Megan McArdle, etc., were to be subjected to a sort of Hunger Games style competition, who do you think would win? How do you think it would play out? What do you think would happen? Thanks, guys. Have a good one.
All right. So then again, first one is, who are our favorite recurring characters and who do you wish would make a comeback? And then if they were all put into a Hunger Games style battle royale, how do you think it would play out? Who would come out on top?
All right. Let's do it like the first one. Like out of all the out of the people mentioned, like in terms of the Chapo Hall of Fame, out of that list of people, who would come out of a Hunger Games style, like, battle royale situation? I mean, like, so I would say, Jordan Peterson and Rod Dreher, they're getting out the game quick. Like they won't last long. They will not last long. I gotta say, like, to me, like it's gonna come down to John Cass and Megan McArdle. John Cass, he's got the fire in him, but I worry about his health. I think he might suffer a heart attack. And there's a lot of running involved in it. So I think my instinct is to go with Megan here because she doesn't have human emotions. So killing someone would not really be a problem for her. She would not hesitate in the moment of truth. And also I just think her knowledge of kitchen gadgetry would come into play. And I think she would probably use a standing mixer to crush someone's head.
I have one answer for 2 questions. One of my favorite guys who, we have not talked about in quite a long time, who, I definitely want to make a comeback is the baseball crank.
Oh, yes.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Yeah, the baseball crank, I love all of our guys, and they were so foundational to the show and to us. But the baseball crank he's just always been so special to me. There's no one like him. Him wearing the same ratty polo every year for 9/11 is so fun. He just does all these old conservative freak things that sort of died off with Trump. He's very much a relic. We talk about this a lot, how a lot of old GOP stuff just does not fly today. If you do you're the real racist guy stuff, you get laughed out of the room. the baseball crank he's so far in that direction. He's so much a man out of time that it goes back around to being avant-garde. I really, really miss the guy. I don't know what he's up to. Presumably trying to perpetuate skin bleaching in Major League Baseball. I don't know. But yeah, no, I miss him. As far as a Hunger Games type battle royale, I see like John Cass being like a bullet farmer type, like in Mad Max. I feel like his hunger would be an asset, and he would discover like a deep brutality that dwells within him, and would consume
the sausage farmer.
Yeah, he would consume his opponents in that way.
Actually, I was just thinking, like, it was not mentioned by the caller, but if I had to choose one of our favorite characters who I think would triumph in any battle royale situation, it's got to be Louisiana Representative Clay Higgins.
Oh well, yeah.
It's like a Southern Comfort, you know. Just
Yes, exactly.
Punching it, you know, like use the bayou, you know.
Yeah, he would be at home in any of the hellish jungle or swamp environments.
Yep.
That this death match would take place in.
Yep.
And
crossbows, of course.
Yep.
Yeah.
Make still, you know, just gives birth. Jack Rabbit, good whiskey makes Jack Rabbit to stop the bear.
And you know,
he would be like Arnold at the end of Predator, but just like dipping himself in gumbo.
I'm right here. Kill me, mon ami. Kill me. Like, you know, I remember like that video he did from Auschwitz where he was like, I've seen the face of evil, my friend. But like, he's like, I've seen the face of evil. This is where I'm going to put all the competitors, all the Hunger Games. You're going in the train.
I love at the start of the Auschwitz video where he's like, it just is a big stupid face. And he's like, could be a train track anywhere. Very profound, Clay. My God, I like Baseball Craig is the guy actually that I want to come back to the most. But now that I think about it, I think Representative Higgins may be my favorite. There's it takes a lot for there to be someone who's currently in Congress, and for me to not think, oh, we should drop them in a fucking volcano. I think like even in a ideal scenario with an American Gaddafi, where we're run by our F-22 pilot listener. He's the military officer in charge of this country, and we fix everything. Clay Higgins should be kept on as like just controlled opposition, but in the same role as he has now. Like I would never get rid of him. He's my favorite guy in politics.
Yeah, Clay Higgins, and then like, you know, I mean, like outside of our favorite columnists, obviously, you know, Steven Seagal would be good in a deathmatch situation, provided he can stay seated. Or like provided he has some sort of mobility scooter. I think provided he had a mobility scooter and all of his opponents fell down on purpose after karate chopping him. I think it would come down between McCardle and Seagal. And honestly, I think McCardle may win. I think McGriddle has got this because, like I said, I just like she's not a human. She's just like she doesn't have. She's a perfect organism. She doesn't have feelings. Human beings are just units of consumption to her. And if one of those units of consumption goes away, it's not really a problem.
And also think about Camo. You know, she's just fade in the background. Just invisible. Frankly, the predator.
Yeah. Yes.
You're right. She does have like an Agent 47 quality.
All right. Let's. Should we go to the next question?
Yeah. I want to do one that was addressed to me, but I actually want to cue Felix up to maybe comment on this based on a recent interest of mine. So let's see.
Hey guys, it's 2025. I think the Bible is going to have a big year. And so I'm curious what your favorite Bible stories are. Thank you.
Okay, that's from Colt B. Favorite Bible stories. I've recently been on a kick of falling to sleep reading the Wikipedia entry for every book of the Bible and just catching up on like all the Bible lore that I didn't really know about. And there's some crazy stuff in there. And one that really got to me, and I wondered if you had any takes on, I guess, the Old Testament, the Hebrew Bible, Felix, because I was reading about the book of Esther, and just when you go through the plot of that, the first part of it is like kind of a fun palace intrigue romp where Esther and Mordecai conspire to prevent a plot to kill all the Jews in Persia, basically, and they succeed in the end, and they're elevated in their positions, and it's a nice little story. And Purim, the fun drinking holiday of in Judaism, is based on it. And then there's just like a little postscript at the end of like, and then after they succeeded in preventing the genocide of Jews, the Jews killed 75,000 people in Persia as a punishment. And that was the part that, given the current moment, I was like, oh, this has a different a read in light of current events. So that was stood out for me. Felix, do you have any takes on stories of the Hebrew Bible?
Well, my absolute favorite, like, I think like the one that actually like it contains the most value is all the Solomon stuff. When he's fucking, when the woman he fucked left and he's like, I'm gonna kill myself. Actually, no. There's good stuff in life. That's all great. I think like the best entertainment wise, I talk about these all the time. 2 Samuel. All the King David stories from front to back are incredible. The part where after his first major military victory, he's like naked and giving everyone raisins. And the king's daughter is like, oh, how great for the people of Israel that they get to see their leader, you know, acting like a naked asshole. And the next line is, she later died and did not produce children.
Yeah, there's a lot of that.
There's so much funny stuff like that. But ultimately, when he sees his best friend Uriah's wife, and he's like, she's so fucking hot. Oh, what do I do? I know, I'll get him killed in a war. So he sends Uriah to the front line, gets him killed, fucks Bathsheba, his wife, and God is like, are you kidding me, David? I don't even like put all these fucking restrictions on you. I just say that you have to believe in me and like try not to do stuff like this. And David's like, what? I can't relax? And God's like, you're being such an asshole that when you get this fucking Bathsheba girl pregnant, I'm going to kill that kid. And David's like, no, I take it back. And God goes, no refunds. Anyway, they have the kid. Bathsheba plops out a dud. It's dead. That baby does not draw breath. And she's crying and she's like, you know, David has ruined her life entirely. And David was crying with her the entire time before the birth, like, no, please save my child. But then after the baby plops out dead, he's like, well, nothing I can do now. God said he was going to do that, and he did it. Sorry about your life. Sorry about everything I took from you. See ya. The 2 Samuel, people call Breaking Bad the birth of the anti-hero in American TV. Really, it's King David in 2 Samuel. He's Tony Soprano. I love him.
Who's the guy in the Old Testament who got to lay with his wife's handmaiden because she couldn't get pregnant?
Oh,
I forget, but I like that story because it's about swinging. And I also like Samson and Delilah. I like when Samson smote 50 Philistines with the jawbone of an ass. There's something about the killing someone with the jawbone of an ass is an image that's always struck out very, very strongly in my mind. Just bashing someone's skull in with another skull.
There's a lot of very metal stuff in there, and that's why I've been attracted to reading about it recently.
You can really see why it was the only book around for a really long time.
Yeah. You can really find like basically anything that you would want from literature: action, adventure, suspense, romance, guides to bathing.
Then all streams run to the sea, but the sea is not full. To the place where the streams flow, there they flow again.
Should we move on, or any thoughts on the Bible, Matt?
Speaking of like heavy metal, Revelations.
Oh yeah,
I mean, come on.
Yeah,
it's hardcore.
yeah.
Oak says Revelation's coming.
John and Patras tripping balls.
Yep.
In the island, it's like I love it, and the gay Sermon on the Mount.
Mm-hmm. I like the parable of the prodigal son a lot because it was just sort of like you get no credit in life for doing the right thing, basically. Like, don't be a goody two shoes your whole life. be your own man, and then like you come back and your family likes you better than your bitch ass brother.
That's a good, yeah, I agree with that. The prodigal son says something that I've always said. I feel like this has shadowed me my entire life. When you really hate someone for their personality and people are like, oh, well, they're nice. Well, guess what? Being nice is like the bare minimum. I don't care. And that's the prodigal son. I agree with Matt that, I'm not a big fan of the sequel, but Revelation is incredible. It's incredible. It justifies the existence of the second book.
They stuck the landing on that one.
Yeah.
We should do a miniseries on the Bible. We should do a miniseries where we, like about each book of the Old Testament.
I'll get back to you on that because I have something on that for you guys. All right, let's do a few, I guess, more serious-ish political questions. I think that these two will kind of be linked, but we'll take them one at a time.
Hey, comrades, long-time listener, first-time caller. Name is Gene, pronouns are they, them. I'm just wondering, if we're not going to see resistance to Trump, then what even is liberalism going to look like over the course of the next couple of years? Yeah, that's kind of it. Hope y'all are doing well.
So yeah, Felix, I feel like you touched on this a little at the very end of the Seeking a Friend series. But yeah, wither liberalism after this moment.
I mean, we actually, the episode we just recorded, episode 7, the postscript for the written part of the series, we went very long on, and this was sort of a central part of it. Liberalism's response. I think like you're going to get the obvious like 2002 style democratic response of just any idiotic culture war thing, any fucking Greenland type thing. There's going to be like anywhere from 50 to 70% of Democrats just doing that, like Fetterman and Richie Torres are already doing. But I think the thing that really is going to mark this era of liberalism and eventually all established politics in America in the next 10 years is going to be a distinct aspect of rudderlessness. As these big cultural swings and political swings happen every 18 to 24 months, they happen with fewer and fewer participants each time, and each time are an imitation of the previous one. As fewer people are engaged and parties as they have traditionally existed in America sort of become weaker and don't have leadership in the traditional sense, you will have like predictable responses like Fetterman and Torres. But because of the distinct rudderlessness of it all, you're going to have a non-insignificant slice of Democrats who are vying for, like, we talked about it as like Bernieism, but like a liberal's interpretation of Bernie in 2016, but the vulgar class firstness is for giving tax breaks to trade school applicants. So nothing good, really, but just like a very mercenary environment, I would say.
I think rudderlessness is a good word. I think mercenary is a good word. I mean, like, it's hard to say. I if I had to predict it, I would just say it's an intensification of the current trend, which is that, like, what is the liberal? What do liberals believe in? And the answer is like just something slightly different than whatever the current Republican Party believes, or like just a continued triangulation towards the right, but also like it will continue to be like mostly a kind of, I don't know, an affectation of people who live in cities and went to college and have like a certain level of class and education. I think it'll just be like liberalism will come to mean increasingly more like I said, an evolution of a current trend, which is that it is like a habit of mind or a series of manners possessed by a certain class of people, a certain class of people and a certain level of education. And like that sort of code of manners will largely be defined by not being like a vulgar populism, but it'll be like a habit of mind of people who convince themselves that we're the smart, decent people. And like the content of your actual political beliefs will be like basically irrelevant.
Matt, future of liberalism?
I found the New York Times. I can't read it, but like New Orleans embraced ISIS.
Yeah,
and it's like, okay, that's churning. That's the stasis. Like that's a viable strategy. Break it off the gridlock. So yeah, things to trend follow.
I think like the kind of real thing with the future of liberalism it's obviously part of that is the typical behaviors after an electoral loss that Democrats exhibit, especially in the absence of the apparition that was the resistance that really won't be replicated. But I think after all of this, after Gaza, after Joe Biden just torching everything for Israel, after, just documented horrors against Palestinians, I don't think it will really mean anything ever again in our lifetimes. It can't. Like things like the liberal world order, things like restoring the soul of the nation, these last vestiges of like establishmentarian liberalism. There's just nothing left. There's nothing to cling to.
We'll probably have way more of this on Monday, but like the ceasefire deal, if that holds, I feel like it's a sort of a dam breaking moment, similar to Biden's debate performance, where like the entire media and everyone that goes along with them have sort of will just sort of collectively stop pretending, and it's just well, like you said, like the soul of the nation, decency, civility. I mean, I think these are just the kind of I don't know, and aesthetics that they sort of slot in there in the place of actual beliefs, and like it's always defined in opposition to like a person rather than a policy or an ideology. It's just sort of like, and I think the future of liberalism is being anti-populist. That's what I think. I think that's where I'm going to land on this. Liberalism will be for the correct set of the smart, decent, right people. And as far as political commitments go, I think it's basically like abortion rights, and then maybe like some vague commitment to gay rights, but certainly not trans rights or immigrant rights or the rights of just about anyone else. But it'll be liberalism will I think become defined as the anti-populism, because I think by continuing to lose elections, I think they have soured on the idea of the American people, or that like or the common good and like the decency or wisdom of regular people, and I think they're going to be ever more protective of their own perceived righteousness.
Yeah, it's really the most ahead of its own time tweet ever was the alligator baby tweet.
Yeah,
because that will be the next. That's the next 20 years of American liberalism. Really, like at the end of the day, it's that, and like all of this horrifying new crop of 10-year-olds with parentally managed accounts where they're like, I'm Blue Jacob. I'm gonna clap back at all these Palestinians.
Yeah, no, I mean, like you see that in like the anger at Biden losing about like all the people who are like, I can't wait until Trump flattens Gaza, or like I'll be waving bye bye from like the like immigrant deportation caravan. I just think it'll be like their perceived betrayal of groups of people like Arab or Muslim voters, young people, et cetera, et cetera. I think like the Republican Party, I mean, I remember getting in trouble for saying this a long time ago, but the Republican Party will be perversely the weapon that they're able to wield against those that they perceive as betraying them. And I think like the manifestation of that politics will be a kind of holistic anti-populism. Like if something is popular or supported by a majority of people or the wrong groups of people, I think that they will be almost irreconcilably hostile to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then like everything else will be continue to be explained away by disinformation and misinformation and like a Putin, or just like people being brainwashed by the internet or something. I mean, as they lose their grip over more and more of the public consciousness. And I think that they will like I said, have a perverse like sort of symbiotic relationship with the Republican Party that will actually enact the cruel, sadistic policies against these groups of people that they feel let down by.
All right. Let's do one or two more, and then we'll go into some final thoughts, because I know Will has something that he wants to say at the end of this. So here is a question from Michael A.
Hi guys, Michael from Belfast here. Love the show. It's been great hearing Matt back on the mic in the past couple of weeks. Wish you all the very best with your recovery. Good on you. Just wanted to ask on kind of either political or cultural issues, since you've started the show, what's one thing where your views have most changed over the years? Other thing, if I have time, should we be able to fight Sekiro bosses or armored cores in Elden Ring hybrid?
Do you want to take that second part first, real quick, Felix?
Yeah, I mean, look, I don't know how the Sekiro bosses would work because you're not going to have the same moveset. It would be probably pretty torturous, but there are Dark Souls enemies in there, so, why not? I think if you want to be like a potato sack wearing serf getting stomped to death by a giant robot, or Ishin Ashida shooting you with his Sengoku era Glock, be my guest. I'll do it too with you.
And then we'll move on to where have your views changed first. But I would also like to thank Michael and all of our international callers. Almost a quarter of the submissions that we got over the last few days came from other places in the Anglosphere: Australia, Canada, Ireland, UK. Thank you all for listening and calling in. Anyway.
Oh, dude, just one more thing to add on to that. Thank you to all our Chinese listeners who I've connected with on Xiaohongqiu.
Yes.
I encountered quite a few. Great to meet you.
Oh, excellent. Put a good word out, please.
Yes. Yes. I know Seamus made that AI Cantonese translation of a Chapo Twitch stream a while ago. I am seriously considering starting to AI translate our clips into Chinese languages and putting them on that app just to see what happens.
I would just like to say for the record now that Taiwan is not a country.
Nope.
It is China.
Made up. Made up.
But to the first part of the question, I would say the main one for me, as the over the 9 years or so we've been doing this show, obviously I would say the biggest shift in my beliefs, or just what was it, a change in belief imposed by reality, is that I suppose when the show began, I was perhaps slightly optimistic about the prospects of changing the Democratic Party by electing younger progressive or socialist candidates, based on kind of a Bernie model. I have been completely drained of that by now. I don't think there is any way that you can run people for office under the Democratic ticket, or elect good people who are Democrats in a way that will make any meaningful difference. I think the institution is rotten top to bottom, and there's no reforming it. I don't know. I guess more broadly speaking, it's getting harder and harder to imagine a way out of the kind of the bear trap that our ankles are all caught in as we try to gnaw our leg off. I mean, I think what will change politics in this country, or change the political system in this country? I don't want to be too glib, but it's hard for me to imagine anything outside some sort of black swan event that is essentially unpredictable and unknowable in the present moment. And I don't mean an alien invasion or something like that. And I don't want to seem like I'm offloading responsibility, because whatever change will come through the work of human beings as they respond to changing situations or changing circumstance and context. But in terms of what will change America for the better, it's hard for me to imagine anything coming out of our democracy or our electoral system. As Matt, I think, if you said in the past, it's the future is unknowable, and the circumstances of the future, we are all essentially finding out. We don't know what the context of that will look like, but it will probably have to come from something that we have not anticipated, or by definition cannot anticipate right now.
AI. What the hell? ISIS AI. Come on.
Yeah. Put the ISIS into the AI.
plausible.
See what happens.
Yeah, no, I mean, just going off of what Will said, I think and this is another thing we kind of talked about on the epilogue a lot, was that politics will essentially in America be in this sort of stasis of these swings and counter swings with decreasing amounts of participants and voter participation, until there is some type of galvanizing event that causes higher levels of engagement. But obviously this isn't offloading responsibility, because in the event that does happen, and does happen in the near future, that there is a galvanizing event, you will really wish that you built some type of organizational capacity.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
To with Bernie 2016 or Bernie 2020, if I could change any aspect about any of that, it would have been that for the 10 years prior to both those campaigns, that there had been some type of infrastructure for like activating and collating and organizing non-voters. This is a similar type of deal. There are a lot of decisions in life that you're not aware are decisions while you're making them. And this sort of goes in that category.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing we can be sure of is that the world will continue to change, that the world will change, and like it will be at some point like seem unknowable to the present day that we're living in right now. And I think like the matter of whether that change will be for the good or some sort of catastrophe will be largely dependent on, as Felix said, like, and I like, the thing is, I don't have an answer. I don't have the specifics to give you, but it will depend on your actions now. I can't tell you what those actions are going to be. I don't know how useful this is, but the world will change at some point, or like the world that you grew up in is already, the world we live in now is already very different than the world I grew up in. But like, in terms of like this country, like things will change. And like I said, I think we all feel right now like it's only going to get worse, but like we don't know that. And very well that may be the case, but like whatever happens, like will be determined by, as it is by human action and belief.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have much to add to that. It always feels like a cop out to say that, the last 10 years have made me think much more long term. I don't know. I think about the American 1920s a lot, which in a lot of ways I feel like we're in an echo version of, where, by the end of the 20s we were in 3 straight cycles of total corporate Republican control of the federal government that seemed unbeatable. And then 1932 comes along and you have a 48 state sweep for social democracy. Sometimes that stuff happens, but you got to wait for your moment. I don't know. It always feels like a cop out to say that, but it's hard not to feel it in this moment. All right, let's do one more fun one and then move on to final thoughts. Do you guys want to do sex or animals?
Let's do both.
All right. Let's do one Dear Prudie-esque sex and romance question, and then a fun round robin about animals.
All right, cool.
This is from somebody who goes by the name Ram D.
The owner of Ram Ranch.
Hey, Chapo. All my love to Matt. I live in a red state and I listen to this show, so it's kind of hard to find anyone I connect with politically. So I was wondering, how much is that worth compromising for a romance or sex? Thanks, guys.
Wow, Tom White's amazing. I'm honored.
Thank you for your call in from the bottom of a well where you have been imprisoned.
Calling in from a boxcar in the 1930s is Tom Waits with a question about romance and sex. All right, so the question is, living in a very red area, you feel sort of like standing apart from the mainstream politics of your peers and like the dating pool. How much is that worth compromising on? This is a tricky one because like for a fling or a hookup, like I think you can avoid politics, and if there is still a chemistry, I think that's worth looking past. But speaking for myself personally, I would find it very difficult to have a romance with someone whose political values were like diametrically opposed to mine, or just like that I found annoying or stupid in some way. I think it's very hard to form a relationship that has any like, I don't know, stability, or I don't know. It would just be very hard for me to imagine being in a long-term relationship with someone who has like values that aren't compatible with my own. Or you could just start lying about your political beliefs.
That's always an option. I don't know. I think Will is like generally right that with like hookups and things like that, I don't know, maybe you can just admit it. But on the other hand, I kind of don't think that like anything potentially has to be an obstacle, either sexually or romantically to you. That is to say that whatever crackpot thing you believe or weird thing you do, or perhaps medical condition, or the fact that you live in a grain elevator, all of these things can be both overlooked or even reinterpreted as positive if someone likes you enough. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't suggest falling in love with someone who's like an integralist or something, but love changes people. And as Count Vronsky says, you can't ask why in love. And if you are the right person for them and they're the right person for you, you will see things in each other, and eventually you will be like, guess what? I just read this book. The Pope isn't the Pope. Stop doing that stuff. And she'll be like, okay.
and if there is chemistry, like that could possibly be I don't know, like a catalyst for the change in the political beliefs of your romantic partner. And like, if that fails, I would just recommend, like, I don't know, performing for them some of your classic songs from seminal albums like Rain Dogs, Swordfish Trombones, or The Bone Machine.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything on that. I think Will and Felix pretty much nailed it. Give it a go, and then if it becomes an issue, then it is an issue. Trust your gut when it comes to things like, do I really want to spend more time with this person? But if you can have fun for an evening, go for it.
I mean, ultimately, only you really know what is a red line for you and what isn't, what is too personally objectionable for you to like overlook. But I will say that for someone who feels like, cloistered or alienated, the best way to like perpetuate that is to just think of conditionals for why you shouldn't change that.
Yeah, I guess I will just add a general thing is like, obviously relationships are work and you have to do a lot of work for the other person just in terms of like giving yourself to them. But if it feels like work just to be yourself around somebody else, then it's probably not going to happen. And that goes to even down like if you're agonizing over how to like word a text message because you're afraid that the other person isn't going to like respond the way that you want, or if even that stuff feels like work, then it's probably not going to work out. It should be easy to hang out with somebody that you are interested in. All right, let's do animals real quick and then move to final thoughts.
Just wanted to know what you guys think the cutest non-domesticated animal is. Thanks.
And that's from Justin W.
Well, I mean, like, this is an easy one because largely thanks to Felix, they're at the forefront of my mind right now. But like, hard to beat a seal when it comes to cuteness. Seals are very adorable. And going off that, I think I've been watching a lot of beaver videos lately. No, not those ones. The actual, the dam builders, the tree fellers. Beavers are adorable. Obviously, capybaras. That's an easy one. But like, God, and then like like an orangutan, like a full grown orangutan is like, I mean, maybe cute isn't the right word, but they have such a goofiness and a nobility about them that really like stirs me when I see an orangutan or like any of the great apes, like a gorilla. I follow this gorilla on Instagram called Mr. Gory, and he makes some incredibly relatable expressions. And they're adorable, but they have a nobility and a majesty to them as well. But like, hard to beat a baby seal.
It's really, really hard not to just say seal outright. I mean, the way they look, both the babies when they're covered in fur, but I also just saw a very rare melanated seal that looks terrific. The fucking sounds they make are incredible when they just go, gah! It's so, I don't know why they do that. It's so fun. But lar gibbons especially are always up there for me. They have not quite the same nobility as an orangutan, but there is a sense of humor about them and their mannerisms and vocalizations similar to that of seals that I love. Bears are another big one. The way that bears imitate people standing up.
They are guys.
It's just so hard. I mean, there's just so many incredible animals out there that it would feel like a betrayal for me to just call one the cutest, because they all are in such different ways. There is an adorability to snakes in a way that other animals don't have.
And I mean, I obviously we're glossing over the manual, the official. I think at this point the official animal of Chapo Trap House.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hard to go wrong picking again any sort of non-domesticated cat. All cats are wonderful, but any of the wild cats are like, they're all just S tier animals.
Manuals. The way they say "gua," the way that the kittens like fuck with their parents' tail. That thing that all wildcats do, where the kittens practice pouncing and hunting, and the parents like do a really exaggerated surprised reaction to like increase their confidence. It's great. I don't think they've made a bad animal yet.
I saw a really good video today of an anteater carrying its female partner and child on its back. So, dads, fellas out there, relatable.
I love anteaters. Every anteater zoo video I see, and by the way, Shout out to all these Japanese people that are just going to the zoo every day to film their specific animal that they film. I don't know if that's a government program or what, but thank you.
Shout out to the Nagasaki Biopark. If they want to, if they're interested in us doing a live show there, I would love to visit.
Yeah, I think we would like to perform vocalizations with your seals, but I love how much of an anteater's day involves them getting picked up. That's terrific.
Oh, sloth too. Speaking of picking up, when you see like a baby sloth like clinging to its mother in a tree. Oh man, that's top content.
And also can't forget mustelids, the beautiful sable,
little meat tubes.
Little meat tubes like minks, beavers, European beavers especially. Yeah, no, it's impossible for me to pick one.
Matt, any favorite non-domesticated animals?
Well, Homo sapien is actually turn out adorable.
Yeah,
really, really, just keeps on coming. Like the hits, the adorable, the cute. It's don't stop.
I'll do two non-traditional ones really quickly. I love ravens, and I think I love watching videos of ravens that can speak or imitate speech, and I do think that that's kind of adorable, even if they are kind of spooky. They're kind of adorable in a spooky way. I also saw a pufferfish in an aquarium tank recently that made me think that I always really love seeing unpuffed pufferfishes, and I think that the faces that they make are very cute. So those are two non-traditional cute animals for me. All right, we got a lot of questions. I think that should do it from the questions today. We always say that we want to do this a little more regularly. I'm going to put a reminder in my calendar for 6 months from now to do another one of these episodes, and we'll get back to listener questions then. How does that sound for you guys?
The questions are great. I would love to keep doing this.
All right, great.
Yeah, no, that sounds great with me. No, these are some of my favorite types of episodes to do.
Oh, and real quick, I did see I got a question that we didn't air on the show, but someone wanted to ask what Star Trek episodes would you recommend to someone to get into the series? Okay, from the original series, Balance of Terror and The Naked Time. From Next Generation, Measure of a Man and the 2-part Best of Both Worlds episode. And from Deep Space Nine, Duet and In the Pale Moonlight.
Great. Done and done. Excellent work, Will.
So, what, 300,000 anniversary? 900. It's a century, 1,000 years ago. So I actually sitting in looking, I realized the process, find my voice, really. Mm-hmm. I was terrified, gripping of paralysis. And I met you guys. And I find my voice, and I don't know what happened, and it just purely interaction, talking of a podcast, and obviously the listener, and it's life changing. It's a joy, and obviously my plane is exploded, but it's going full circle,
Mm-hmm.
And I still. Finding my voice, gradually, obviously, painstakingly, and I just want to thank you for the listeners and for Will and for Felix and for the patience for struggling to find my voice.
I've nothing to add that other than both my life, our lives, and the lives of our listeners and anyone who encounters you has been enriched by you finding your voice, and I hope we can continue to help you find your voice again as you make your return to the show.
Inshallah.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit on our last episode of the year, in thanking the audience for sticking with us during a very unprecedented, strange time. I just wanted to say again that having you back here, it has made everything just that much better and that much more fun to have you back here. Will and Chris did an amazing job keeping this going and delivering in the year before, but it is not Chapo without Matt, or at least it's not the full original product. And we're just incredibly happy to have you back here.
Before we sign off for today's show or the 900th episode, if you'll permit me, I would like to say a few words because it's just a sad time on one of the rare occasions on the show where I have to make note of the passing of someone who I think has greatly informed my life and the content of this show. And that is today to mark the death of David Lynch at age 78. I know he'd been suffering from emphysema for quite a while, but as I mentioned earlier today, Chris, Molly, Catherine, and I were driving from Las Vegas to Los Angeles when I heard that when I heard the news, just like when it came across my phone, and was told by Catherine that David Lynch had passed away, and I was immediately struck by I was hit with an intense sadness as I looked out the window at the like sort of jagged landscape of the Nevada desert, and I started thinking about his movies. I started thinking about the endings of Fire Walk with Me, Mulholland Drive, and specifically The Elephant Man. And listener, I'm not ashamed to admit you that I'm not ashamed to share with you that the tears just kept coming. And I don't know if you noticed this, Chris, but it was about a good 10 minutes in the back of the car. I was like pouring tears out of my eyes.
My eyes were on the road.
Yeah, and like but I've also was struck by an immense sense of gratitude for his his unbelievable body of work. But then seeing like a similar outpouring of emotion from people, and it's this strange thing where you feel connected to someone that you've never met, who's like not your family, not your friend or anything like that, is just someone whose art you admire. And it was like I saw a lot of similar things about people who were just like literally welling up with tears or weeping at the death of an artist whose work has meant so much to them. And I think one of the reasons his death has affected people so profoundly is because his movies, for me, as far as artistic experiences go, rank among the most visceral and profoundly emotional experiences I've had in my life. Like they just, and like when you lose someone like that, whose work has touched you so deeply on an emotional level, and when they die, like you feel like you've lost a part of yourself. And I think that's because, and I think like the people's reactions to his passing are so intense, is because I think out of like so many artists like that whose work I love and admire, I think David Lynch, his movies truly do capture a sense of like of this dream of reality of consciousness that we're given for a brief period of time. The dream that we all experience of life is both equal parts horrifying and sublime, ridiculous and absurd, but also, like I said, just incredibly worthwhile and moving and filled with joy. And I know his movies are overwhelmingly associated with like a surrealistic darkness and like sort of evil that sort of courses underneath the surface of everyday life in America. But like, I don't think that is the only thing that defines his work. And when I think of his movies, I think of the profound beauty and love in them. As Dennis Hopper says in Blue Velvet, now it's dark. And it does feel like with his passing that the world has gotten a lot darker. And as we live in a world now where as I said earlier on the show, I think people feel an encroaching sense of darkness or an encroaching sense of like a diminishment of the possibility of a better or more hopeful future. I think we should not forget, like his films, that it's not only dark. It's not only the darkness, and his work would not be as profound and deeply powerful to me and to everyone else whose work as he's been touched by, were it not for like that it is not only the darkness, that there is light in there as well. So, like I said, I'm thinking about, I'm thinking about The Elephant Man. I'm thinking about the scene where John Merrick recites the 23rd Psalm. And I'm thinking about just like the extreme horror, like the truly terrifying things in his movies. They wouldn't be frightening were it not for the beauty in them as well. And I think that like that is something that I have keeping in mind today as I process the loss of someone who I regard as one of the great American artists of all time in any genre or medium. So I just last time I did this was for Ray Liotta, but I really felt compelled to share with you my feelings on this day to mark the death of David Lynch. All right, let's leave it there for today. Happy 900th episode, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.